All right, good morning, everyone. Yeah, come on in, grab your instruments, and make sure you grab your music too, and your mini word dictionaries. Those are going to be really important today. But don't worry about setting your instrument or music up right away, because we're going to be starting with reading an article together. So, today we're going to be reading an article all about the time period in music called Romanticism. So, have you guys heard the word Romanticism before? I see maybe one or two hands. Maybe you heard it in an art class. That might sound right. So, when you guys hear the word romanticism, which images on the screen do you associate it with? So we have this first group of pictures, which like you can see Lady and the Tramp sharing their spaghetti, or our second group of pictures, which are a little more abstract, but are really expressive. So, like I said, when you think of romanticism, do you think of a brave knight rescuing a princess? Or maybe a couple going out on a date? Or maybe, like, I think of, like, the older movies with people driving off to Lover's Lane, maybe. So, how many of you thought of something like that? I see a good number of hands. Yeah, you're definitely right on with the word romanticism. You pull romantic from that. That makes sense. But what if I told you instead that romanticism really has nothing to do with romance at all? So we're going to go ahead and read this article that's going to explain what romanticism is. So as I read, I want you to pay attention to the words I'm reading. And you each have scrap paper that I set down on your stands, and I want you to write down each word that you find important. I want you then, after the article, we're going to discuss which words are most important for our large word wall, and then we'll make sure we put all of your personal mini music dictionaries. We'll put some words in there as well. And we're also going to discuss and kind of debrief what we read, because this is a really important section. Finally, before we start to read, I am going to define the word harmonic vocabulary. This word doesn't come up until the very end of the passage, but you guys already know what harmonic vocabulary is. You just don't realize it. So, harmonic vocabulary, and I want you to make a note of this on your scrap paper to put in your mini dictionary. So harmonic vocabulary, they're different musical methods to create music unique and more original from piece to piece. So it sounds a little simple, and it's things like melody, rhythm, texture, the different chords and intervals that you put into music. That is all harmonic vocabulary. It's kind of an umbrella term for all of those. So let me pull out my passage here and just go ahead and just listen and write down important words, and I will go ahead and ask you some questions throughout. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, musical romanticism was marked by emphasis on originality and individuality, personal emotional expression, and freedom and experimentation of form. So, wow. So, I know we just looked at classical period, right? Um, those elements are really, really different. So, ask yourself, do you guys still see those elements in music today? Can I see a raise of hands that those that think we do still see those elements of expressiveness today? Yeah, that's just about everybody. Does anyone think no, we don't? That's okay too. So now I want you to turn to your stand partner that you share your stand with and just talk about how you see these aspects of music in the pieces we're currently working on. Can you go through and pinpoint some measures that you see that emotional expression? Give you a few seconds to do that. All right, so let's keep going. So, next we're going to go Ludwig van Beethoven and Franz Schubert bridged the classical and romantic periods, for which their formal musical techniques were basically classical, and their music's intensely personal feeling and their use of programmatic elements provided an important model for 19th century romantic composers. So, after hearing this statement, what do you guys think was the most important aspect of romantic period music? I see a hand there. Yes, expressionism. The biggest key of romantic music is expression. So, if we were looking at these two images on the screen, right, which one do you guys think would fit the best with romantic music? The one on the left. That is absolutely right. That one is much more expressive compared to just the blank slate. All right, so let's keep going. So, yeah, after you guys discussed that. So, possibilities for dramatic expressiveness in music were augmented both by the expansion and perfection of the instrumental repertoire. Can anyone make a prediction of what the word repertoire means? Go go ahead and tell your stand partner that. And then if I have a volunteer that wants to tell me what they think repertoire is. Yes. That is a really spot on close to definition. Musical repertoire are the pieces of music that are standards for us for a band to play, and they can be varied by instruments. But yes, basically it is the music we're playing. Perfect. Wonderful job. So, as we continue going, the repertoire, and by the creation of new musical forms such as the lied, the nocturne, the intermezzo, the capriccio, the prelude, and the mazurka. The romantic spirit can be found inspired in poetic texts, legends, and folk tales. So, can you guys think of why romantic music might have found inspiration in legends? What legends would you guys have written a piece of music about? Can you guys take a turn in your whole section, so saxophones, trumpets, percussion, get all together, and can you guys take turns sharing out for a second of what legends you do? Why do you think we have those legends? And if I can have a group volunteer to tell me what they think. Yes, that is a really good idea. We use legends are really expressive, and they're used to inspire us, which is a perfect aspect of romantic music. It's that expressiveness and that use of style. All right. So another key part is the linking of words and music, either pragmatically or through such forms as the concert overture, and incidental music is another distinguishing feature of romantic music. All right, let's take a quick second to pause. Can everybody write down those two words for me and take a moment and discuss what you might think that means with your stand partner? And here's a hint. If any of you have seen a musical theater or in the musicals high school performing right now, what is that music where there's no words to it? So I want you to go ahead and think about that as I read the end of this. So the principal composers of the first phase of Romanticism were Hector Berlioz, Frédéric Chopin, and Felix Mendelssohn and Franz Liszt. These composers pushed orchestral instruments to their limits of expressiveness, expanded the harmonic vocabulary to exploit the full range of the chromatic scale, and explored the linking of instrumentation in the human voice. Can anyone tell me why a chromatic scale might have drastically changed the sound of music at that time? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So having that chromatic scale with those sharps and flats, raising a half pitch and lowering a half pitch compared to just using the basic 8 notes would have given almost triple the possibilities of notes you could use, and infinitely expands the melodies you could have. Wonderful job. All right, so that is the end of our passage today. So let's debrief about what we learned. I'm going to ask a few questions to just get us started on analyzing first. So you guys can go ahead and write these down, and we'll discuss them in a minute, just so you can write it down and look at them. So first, what are the key aspects of Romanticism? Okay, everybody, just give me a few. I'm hearing some really, really great answers. So what is the key, the most important aspect of Romanticism? Yes, expressionism. Perfect. That is the key part of Romanticism. Great. So what types of stories often inspired romantic music? And can you think of a piece of music that we're playing that was inspired by a myth? Yeah, a few of you shouted out Apollo, myth, and legend. Yes, that is a piece we are doing. And yes, they did follow after legends. And another one, can anyone name one of the new musical forms and a composer that was attached to the romantic style? Yeah, I'm hearing a nocturne, a lied, I'm hearing Liszt and Schubert. Those are all great examples. And we just talked about this. Can anyone tell me how romantic style musicians stretched emotion in their pieces? I'm hearing a lot of good answers. So now, what I want you to do is break into sections, and I want you to discuss the words you wrote down in your papers. And I want each section to pick what they think is the most important word today. All right, so I'm hearing romanticism, expressive, harmonic vocabulary. Those are all great words that are all going to go on our word wall. And then you guys can go ahead and find some other words for your mini music dictionary. So we're going to go ahead and do the definitions of these in a minute. But before we do that, I asked you if this connected with any pieces that we're playing right now. Now, many of you thought of our piece Apollo, Myth, and Legend by Rob Ramiro. And that's great if you did. Apollo, Myth, and Legend is very similar to romantic style music. Now, why do you think I said that? Yeah, it's very expressive, it's very dramatic, and it's based off a legend. So, how are we going to take what we learned about romantic style music into our repertoire piece? Great, I'm hearing a lot of answers about being really expressive. So now everybody, let's pull out your scores of Apollo and let us jump right in. Thank you.